You want to start with a little gospel?
I ain't gonna live this down, am I?
Let go.
Woo! Like that's right. That's what I want. Like that's what I need. Like, I need. Woo! Woo!
Right.
That's what I want. Woo!
Right.
I need. Woo! I need. That's what I want. I need. Woo! Woo! I need.
Right.
I need. That's what I want.
Right.
I need.
Episode 65 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. My name is Deonte. I'm joined by my best friend, my ace, my guy, Dane Beasley. Dane, how are you doing this Wednesday evening?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Really excited. Got a nice weekend. Got a nice weekend coming up, and then or even more nice weekend after that, and then an even more nice weekend after that. So we
got some things coming up.
We got some things lined up.
Wonder what's going on.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of good things happening.
Shout out to Keith for Keith. Man, Keith is great, man. He continues to outdo himself on different things that he helps us out with on the pod, obviously. And when he sent this clip that you guys heard at the beginning of the pod, I could not stop playing it, man. And I immediately sent it to Dane. And Keith's very talented. And if you heard it in the beginning, he sampled from our last episode where Dane was talking about, to give it some context. Was talking about Dane was talking about the Batman trailer where Batman was basically just pulverizing his guy,
beating this dude's face into a pile of ground turkey,
Dane was talking about how he literally needs that in this movie, the grittiness. We're talking about the darkness and grittiness of the upcoming Batman movie. So, of course, Keith flipped that and made it into a dope sample, man. And so had to share it. And Keith, thank you again.
So from us to you, and it's not going to be the last time I say this, but shout out to Keith.
Shout out to Keith,
man. Shout out to Keith.
Yeah, man. So, Dane, usually we start off the pod with a little bit of NFL stuff, but it's been a while since we talked about college football. So we'll start off with that, man.
Whew.
We action, like parity in college football, they talk about it all the time. It's no secret that, that trend has continued this year with the top 25 poll. You got Georgia, who has defense has been literally dominant. Lights out. I think they only allowed like 40-something points through 7 games, if I'm not mistaken. I thought I saw a stat about that. But they're at the top of the poll, number 1 at 7-0, taking all 63 of the first place votes. Then right behind those guys are some surprisers, future Big 12 members. Cincinnati Bearcats at number 2, Bama at 3. Oklahoma 4, your Buckeyes, Dane, Ohio State at 5, Michigan at 6. In the nose, Dane put the Ohio State University at 5, Michigan at 6, Oregon 7, Michigan State 8, Iowa 9, and Ole Miss 10. But let's talk about those Bearcats, man. Not to be confused with your Sam Houston State Bearcats,
who are ranked number 1 in the FCS polls.
Let them know, man.
Topic for another day.
Defending national champs over there in Huntsville, but
defending national champs.
Okay.
Proceed, brother.
The Cincinnati Bearcats are number 2 in the nation, and analysts get ahead of themselves a lot of times, and obviously, they're not a Power 5 team; they're a Group of 5 school, and there's always that question: if they run the table, will they get into the playoff? And I feel like a lot of the Boise States and fans of those Group of 5 schools are probably rooting for Cincinnati because if they can get in, that gives their school a chance if they happen to go to go on one of these runs. But
UCF,
man, I'm looking at Cincinnati's schedule right now. They knocked off Notre Dame a few weeks ago at Notre Dame, which Notre Dame's a top 10 team. As much as we talk about Notre Dame in the big games, their prestige program. I mean, they're not a bad team. The defense is pretty good. Dane's choking up in the clutch moments. And so Cincinnati got that win on October 2nd against Notre Dame, 24-13. And I'm looking at the schedule right now. This week they have Tulane, and I'm thinking the toughest games they have left, Dane, is
shout out to Tulane one time.
Conference battle against SMU.
That's the one. That's the game right there. SMU
November 20th, 19 SMU. So man, what do you think about the Bearcats? You think they run the table? You think SMU slips them up, or even somebody before that?
I think they keep their foot on the gas. We have in our lifetime we've had the opportunity to see some amazing underdog stories. One commonly that comes to mind for me is a not so big name school making it to I can't say playoffs because back then they didn't have the playoffs, but making it to a big BCS game. But I'm speaking of no one other than the Rainbow Warriors, Hawaii. Hawaii went on that run with RIP Cole Brennan and those guys, and everybody thought this high octane offense this is when the spread the spread was pretty much it was a pretty new concept, but they were at the forefront of it with that high octane, high powered, air it out type of offense, and even getting so much attention as Heisman votes and things like that. So everyone thought okay, this is going to be a pretty good matchup, and then they see it got matched up with Georgia, and Georgia beat the piss out of them boys, man. I think it might have been like 40-0 or something like that. It was really bad, but it just showing just because the offense itself is pretty one dimensional, it kind of got exposed. But and then again, the SEC speed kind of brings a whole nother layer to the conversation. But I said all that to say this. I like it when these smaller schools beat teams that are not supposed to beat, because you're not supposed to beat a Notre Dame, regardless of how much choke Notre Dame has in their system. You're not supposed to beat Notre Dame at home like that on that type of stage, but they did. So I'm rooting for them, but I'm going to hold my breath on them staying in the top, 4, because we see how Alabama leapfrog boys, after they got a dub after getting beat by A&M a few weeks ago. So hopefully they stay in the top 4, but I'm not going to hold my breath because I know how these things work. They want games that generate money. Right. Sorry, it could be a beautiful Cinderella story all we want, but if it doesn't generate money, that is not going to it's not going to make it into the playoffs. So that's from. This is not my logic. This is money. I'm following the money, like my boy Lester from The Wire said. Follow the money. So
another reason you could possibly be rooting for them on your end is their head coach Luke Fickell, who used to be on the Buckeye staff, and
it's a few.
Of course, his name has been thrown out to we got those LSU jobs open, USC job. His name's been thrown out there a couple of times. So it'd be interesting to see if they can, weather the distraction. Yeah, Tech job is open now, but it'll be interesting to see if, the team can get past the distraction that's going to come about as many games as they win and continue to go on. Desmond Ritter at quarterback he's been pretty good so far this year.
He's on the radar. His draft stock is going up.
So. Yeah, he has he's completed 63% of his passes, 15 touchdowns, only 3 picks. And, like we said, man, they're going to have to run the table to get in. Like we've seen this previously, one loss, like we just saw Coastal Carolina lose, and, nobody's talking about them now, obviously. So
got a good tight end.
To beat,
Sorry, saying they have a good tight end, but my bad.
No, but Cincinnati, that November 20th matchup, which will be at home against SMU, will be a tough one. 19 ranked SMU coming in. Well, at this point, they're ranked 19. So if they can run the table, I think they deserve a shot to get in. And I think eventually you will see that. I mean, if you have Cincinnati in there at this point, I think we talked about it earlier, just opening that gate to other Group of 5 teams that have that chance, have that hope, like you said, to get into that playoff. Maybe by that time, a few years down the line, it could be expanded. But
I'm hoping so, because 4 is just not gonna cut it. You smell me? Let these boys get that paper. Let the boys get that film out there. Let them play the best of the best with all the stakes and all the chips on the table. You feel me?
The best of the best. We talked about the top 10, and out of that top 10, Dane, there are 4 teams out of the Big Ten, with Ohio State at 5.
This is gonna get spicy.
Michigan at 6, Michigan State at 8, Iowa at 9, and a few of those teams. Couple of those teams square off this weekend. A big matchup in the Big Ten, Michigan at Michigan State. Michigan State has been a surprise team, I think, with Mel Tucker at the helm over there. His name has also been brought up in the LSU discussion for their next head coach. And then, of course, Michigan with Harbaugh over there. It always seems like he's been there for like...
He's just... My bad. Go ahead, brother. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's been kind of. I don't think it should have, or people didn't think it would take this long for him to. It seems like right now he has a team that can make some noise compared to previous years, where they're losing games they shouldn't lose, and as of right now, I mean, this team's pretty competitive considering they lost their top receiver and stuff like that, but. One of the top matchups, man, this weekend, Michigan State. What do you think?
Listen, as much as I can't stand either of those teams, this is a must-watch for me. Obviously, anyone who's familiar with the story of Paul Bunyan, this is for all the marbles. I'm talking about the Paul Bunyan Trophy. So I think we're going to see a battle of mediocre to slightly above mediocre offenses versus some really talented defenses. I don't look forward to keeping my eyes on the TV too long to watch these guys because, as I said before, I have a deep hatred for both of these organizations. However, I'm a fan of a few of the players there. So I will have my scout's eye looking to improve the Dallas Cowboys defense as I'm watching this game, but I'm just going to keep facts as the facts. I'm not rooting for either one of these guys, so. Yeah. Take that information which you will. Oh, go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna be honest. I can't stand Big Ten football.
I wonder why.
I don't know, man. I think it's because that freaking Penn State Illinois game I watched this weekend.
A waste of time, wasn't it?
Bro, 8 overtimes. It was nasty, and that's just for me. It's just been the epitome of Big Ten. Like, it's always been known as like. Sloppy. I mean, you got your Ohio States up there, that have always been at the top of the conference.
It's just not consistent. Offensive wise, there isn't anything that's going to keep you watting a game. The only thing that's going to keep you there is defense, and that's just not enough in today's viewership.
And I think as fans, I know I can attest to this. Like, I've been spoiled like with offense, with spread offenses in general, and the Big Ten is more pro style, pro. And I think that's an old term, by the way, like pro style offense, because in the pros now they use what you would call a collegiate offense. Like they're spread all the time. You got Patrick Mahomes, like always out of the shotgun. Justin Herbert, like these quarterbacks nowadays are like in the spread. Like I'd say like maybe 65% of the time, even in the NFL. So I think just the old school mentality, I'll call it old school offense mentality of what the Big Ten has been like over the past few years has just not been attractive to me. And, I think if I was a fan of a Big Ten school or I went to Big Ten school, obviously I feel differently because my team was in that conference. But me as a Baylor fan, a Baylor alum, and, I'm more focused on Big 12 football, obviously. And it does not interest me at all, except, I mean, even this Michigan State game, I mean, which should be, top of the bill. It is obviously both teams are in the top 10, but I think it's going to be similar, the ugliness of what we saw last week with Penn State, Illinois, as well as what you had mentioned about just in general how the Big Ten is.
Here's for me, this, like I said, the saving grace, and let me be very clear. Before I take the opportunity here to compliment the scum of the earth here. I'm referring to the Michigan out there, Michigan fans and Michigan fandom and all that entails. But I'm watching this, like I said, I'm watching this because I'm scouting for defenders specifically. And I didn't want to put it in a general statement because it would be me admitting on tape that I have a fandom of some of the players on Michigan's defense. But Daxton Hill, that's enough to sell me on watching that game, at least the defensive side. Outside of that, I have no interest in watching it. And you hit the nail on the head with the disgust. Like we've seen some really bad games before, but none as bad as what we saw last weekend with Penn State. Yeah. And I'm disappointed in Penn State because not only did they lose, but they legitimately dropped out of being a highly ranked team or a top 5 ranked team because of the loss, and it kind of just brings some illegitimacy to the rivalry game that we have coming up with Ohio State. Not that I don't mind beating the hell out of them, with the whatever little minor rank that they have right now, but it would just be more icing on the cake beating them when they're, ranked higher than Ohio State. Yeah. But, I digress.
Yeah. I will say, though, I will say about this Michigan State game, Michigan State, as much as like I attributed the old school offense, their running back Kenneth Walker III is probably up there. Doak Walker finalist. He's a junior out of Arlington, Tennessee, but he probably has he'll probably cross the 1,000-yard mark.
Yeah,
this game. He's their everything on offense, but
all-purpose
other than
back.
that, man, all-purpose guy. He is very interesting to watch, and like I will look forward to what he does on the field. But other than that, I just think Big Ten has always just been something that I'm not too excited about. And I think if you're not a fan of a team in this conference, you probably feel the same way. But we'll see who comes out on top on that one, Dane. What else is on deck this weekend? I know it's a couple big ones.
Let's go touch up on Baylor and what is this? UT? Baylor.
Oh yeah.
What's up with that?
Baylor and the Horns, man. My Bears, dude. Last week crawled back into the top 25 after a big win over BYU. Had a bye last week, and now welcome the Longhorns also on a bye to McLean Stadium. And I mean, Baylor's a sneaky team. Well, they're not sneaky anymore, but nobody was expecting the Bears to compete at the top of the Big 12 conference. And right now, their only loss was to Oklahoma State a few weeks ago. And with Oklahoma State losing last week at Iowa State, man, that Big 12 conference is going to be up for grabs. OU is still undefeated, but we've seen OU struggle like week after week, even after the switch to Caleb Williams last week in a dogfight with the Jayhawks in Lawrence. And shout out to my boy Sean. Sean is funny, and I don't know if he'll listen to this episode. My friend Sean is a diehard Sooners fan, and he had a funny tweet about after the game. He hopped on Twitter and was like, "Man, I see everybody was rooting for the Sooners downfall," something like that. He said, but
yeah,
he can attest that definitely the Sooners are beatable. But this game is about Baylor, Texas, bro. I think the Bears will, and I'll say this: Texas has beat Baylor 4 out of the last 5. I think the one time we beat them was 2 years ago. That massive stiff arm by John Lovett that always pops up on Twitter, by the way. But
so we're clinging on
Baylor's. I was kind of upset that Baylor was on a bye last week because you know how your team gets on such a roll, and you're like, dang, I don't, your team's on fire, they're on the roll, and you want them to, yeah. So I think it'll be closer than maybe. I think it'll be a 1-score game, but I think the Bears will come out on top. 11 a.m. kickoff. What you think?
I just want to see the number one running back or projected number one running back.
Bijan
I want to see what Mr. Robinson has to do with him being the talent that he is. I want to see what plan Baylor has to not only corral this guy, but to stop and slow this man down. Because say what you want, but that offense doesn't go without him, to be 100% honest. So to see what levels they're going to go or try to go to slow or stop this man, I'd be very interested because this is without taking a look at UT's schedule, this might be. Let me just take a pause and look at their schedule because I can't remember. Will this be their last kind of big hurrah on national television? If I'm not mistaken. I'm not putting my foot in my
That might
mouth.
be their last.
The last big hurrah
game as well.
Yeah.
Oh, they got Iowa State after us.
Okay.
The next
week. Okay.
I mean, the Big 12, like as far as the standings are, I mean that the top two teams go to the Big 12 championship game, and you got Oklahoma sitting at 5-0 in the conference, and then Oklahoma State, Baylor, Iowa State tied at 3-1, and Texas is right there at 2-2. So if they get a win there, they're right back up,
Sloppy.
at a chance. So they still have a chance, but what has been ailing the Longhorns has been their defense.
It's always been ailing the Longhorns.
Yeah, their defense has not been up to par. Considering how all the talent that they get on that side of the ball in the state of Texas.
I just can't put it together.
It seems like if they had a legit kind of effort on that side of the ball, it seemed like they could be more in competition in the games and that nature.
Deonte. You have to remember, Sark doesn't have his guys. Once Sark gets his guys, then everything's gonna change, bro.
Oh yeah, what UT fan did you hear that from?
I don't know. It's something about hearing delusional fan, and I know a little bit of something about delusional fan bases being a Cowboy fan, but something about hearing other delusional fan bases that you're not a part of say the most craziest stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
where did you get this from? But yeah. Outside of that, I mean, the obviously, the Ohio State and Penn State game, that goes without saying for me. But
yeah.
I don't want it to be reduced to the memory that we have from last weekend. Unfortunately, I think it's going to start out especially if the game starts out and it's only one touchdown on the board after the first quarter, that's where my head's going to go. But I got faith in CJ.
I was just about to say, what do you think about your boy CJ? I know he got slandered a ton at the beginning of the year,
including from me.
Yeah,
I hit his ass a few times upside it because he looked like a deer in headlights, and it was just little stuff that he wasn't doing. But I know we're talking about a pretty bad. Really, I can't even sit here and say that it was a reputable team. I ain't gonna mention the team he played last week, but he looked comfortable. The one thing that stood out to me the most about dude, because this is the only person I was really worried about. The defense is young; they're gonna make mistakes, whatever. But the quarterback is not afforded that opportunity, right? So, and the receivers, they have three legit NFL wide receivers on the field. Quarterback has been the question mark for me. But the moment I knew we're gonna be okay is he consistently went through progressions versus Indiana, and instead of checking down to the drag routes or checking down to your curl routes, he was throwing in the double, triple coverage, tight windows, and I was impressed because I, for one, didn't see that from him during that Oregon game when he was getting smacked. And that might have something to do with it. He just needed to get hit, needed his bell rung a few times, pause, and then he'll be on his way. But I like what I saw, but I need to see more. So we're gonna. Yeah. This for me is gonna be a true testament.
Another big test. That Penn State defense is. They've always been known to keep the team afloat. So yeah, those are a couple of big matchups coming out of college football. Figured we want to start with them to kick off the pod, and on to the professional side. Dane, Tom Brady and the Bucks destroyed the Bears over the weekend. 35-3, I believe, or 38-3. And in that process, Tom Brady, he set another record. His 600th touchdown pass to Mike Evans. Mike Evans, unknowingly, I guess, gave the ball to a fan in the crowd. Yeah, caught in the moment, gave the ball to a fan in the crowd. And then there was an exchange, Dane. There was an exchange.
Yeah. Now, obviously, me being the rational person on this podcast, or I was trying to, and shout out to JB3, my brother. I had to explain to him why this fan got ripped off because he didn't see it that way at first, and I had to break it down to him. But for those who don't know, that fan ended up giving that football back to whoever to give to Brady. He was offered by whatever, I guess, PR team or some official in the front office ended up hooking him up with 2 signed jerseys and a helmet from Tom Brady, signed Mike Evans jersey and his game cleats, a $1,000 credit to buy at the team store. It's like, hey, here's some Disney dollars. Come spend it at Disney World. So that's not really anything. 2 season tickets for the remainder of the season and for next season. And on top of that, of course, the gifts keep coming in because Tom Brady hooked him up with a whole Bitcoin. So my first reaction when I saw this on Twitter, I was like, my man got robbed on national television because
why is that, Dane?
He's the only person in the NFL to throw that many touchdown passes. Yes.
Yeah,
okay. So that's number one. He is undoubtedly probably going to play maybe a few more years, to which if you divide his career in 2, you can consider it 2 Hall of Fame careers, correct?
You mean just if you just go
right down the middle,
half.
Right down the middle.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So keep that in mind. That's number 2. Number 3. How many times have we read about different items from either game-worn jerseys, cleats, headbands, autograph cards, footballs, baseballs have fetched a pretty high fee or pretty high bid on, auctions and stuff like that. We've heard about it countless times.
Oh, yeah.
This man literally, I mean, I get it. The Bitcoin kind of makes up for it a little bit because he went to the game. I'm not sure how much money he paid for the ticket, but let's say it's anywhere between the realm of $300 to $600. $600, and you walk away with $60,000 plus money. That's a win. That's a huge dub. But selling is short, saying he could have weighed way more than that. I'm talking at least 6 figures, hundreds of a couple $100,000. Who in their right mind gives away a single Bitcoin? If someone's willing to give me a single Bitcoin, that lets me know they have money. So if I have something they want, that means I'm going to get more money. And obviously, if I have something they want and I'm not going to give it to them, that's going to drive up the price of whatever it is that product is. So my man's got fleeced, and I apologize. He needs to apologize to his kids and his grandkids because he would have had them set up for life. And I'm not talking about never having to work another day in the life, but I'm talking about college funds, down payment on the great-great-grandchildren's house or something crazy like that. But it's just crazy to me just how much credit or just how blind of an eye people turn to situations like this because of how much they fan and fawn over these teams instead of thinking individually for themselves. So that's
my thing is like, what if he didn't give the ball back? Is there a rule?
Nothing they could do about it. Nothing they could do about it.
Yeah. So
nothing they could do about it.
Because NFL, I know college football, that's different. They like, it's, I don't know if it's like a law or rule or whatever, but they get that football back in college football. NFL fans, they don't really, like, if the fan doesn't give it back, most of the time they just don't care. So I'm like, dang, this is touchdown 600. Like, what if he was just like, nah, I'm about to sell this mug on eBay for like,
they would have took everything.
$500,000.
If that was me, your boy, they'd have some sort of security team follow me around because I'm being protected until that mug gets sold to the highest bidder. Call it what you want, but that's you capitalizing on a once in a million lifetime type of deal, So shout out to him for getting what he got, but it could have been much more.
And I guess shout out to Tom Brady too for breaking the
whatever. I mean, the value of that Bitcoin is probably going to go up here in the next few months. So there's that. $63,000 if I'm not mistaken, last time I checked. But yeah.
Dane, do you know who is the second leading receiver in the NFL receiving yards?
Off the top of my head, I do not. I don't even know who's the first.
The first, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Second, rookie Jamar Chase.
And most of that dude's yards comes out of the slot anyways.
Jamar Chase, who
People already
also getting slandered on Twitter at the
people were
beginning of the
killing that
preseason.
man. People were killing that man.
And now he's going off. Even Cincinnati in general leading the AFC North, which nobody would think or would have thought at this point. Joe Burrow doing his thing, defense holding up on their end.
Mm-hmm.
They had Lamar Jackson, as much as we give him praise, like they had him under wraps. I think they blew him out 42-17, but
yeah.
Jamar Chase, special talent. Like that LSU, I think last week we talked about Ed Orgeron, how he just had it made with that squad, man, because these guys are coming in instantly in the NFL, making an impact. Is it too early? Well, I think Jamar Chase
put away the anointing oil. Deonte.
No, I was just gonna say rookie of the year. I mean, offensive rookie of the year
between him and Kyle Pitts. Because it's impressive what he's doing, don't get me wrong, but considering the position and the level of quarterback that Kyle Pitts has to play with, I think it's pretty impressive what he's doing as a tight end. He's the only tight end. I think it's the first tight end since 1970 or something like that. They have 2 back-to-back 100-yard games. It's impressive with Chase. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say what could probably separate them in how the media looks at it is the victories, the wins. I think Atlanta's sitting like 3-3, 3-4 right now, which isn't too bad. It's not terrible. Season's still early, but say Cincinnati ends up winning the AFC North somehow, I think that'll probably give. And if Jamar Chase continues to ball like he's been balling out, give them or give him the edge in the rankings.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna give you some brain food in the audience too. Some brain food. So if Jamar Chase doesn't win Offensive Rookie of the Year, that's fine. He might be destined for something much greater. I'm gonna read off some names to you. Okay, these names are going tandems. Okay, so every two names go together. Okay, here we go. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, David Carr, Andre Johnson, Joey Harrington, Charles Rogers. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it there. That's as far back as I'm gonna go. Do you have any idea what the correlation between those names are?
No.
Okay, I got you. It's kind of hard to put it in perspective without reading it out loud. But for you, my friend, I'll go ahead and put this back in the chat so you can see it. Those names are quarterbacks drafted in the top 5 in 1 year, and then the following year, a wide receiver drafted in the first round.
Okay.
That list, of course, from teams that have done that consistently, that list has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 teams, or 13 times where that instance has happened. One of which has an asterisk next to it because it's a supplemental drafted player. But some other names that you might see on that list is, Terry Bradshaw and Frank Lewis. And that's way back before my time. I said all that to say this. He might not win Rookie of the Year, and that's okay. But history has shown us, based on this list, that anytime the players are drafted in that particular order like that, whether a receiver drafted in the first round in the previous year, a quarterback was drafted with a top 5 pick, something great has happened, either Super Bowl, one of those players in the Hall of Fame, or one of those players in the Ring of Honor, or one of them just had a hell of a good career. Not one or both, or sometimes it's both, sometimes it's just one of them. But we can expect one of those things to happen. Not to say that they're going to win a Super Bowl, because as I stated before, the Bengals are on this list twice. One of them was with Peter Warrick, when Peter Warrick was drafted. We all know Peter Warrick was one of the greatest.
I love Peter Warrick,
one of the greatest college players that we've ever seen, period. It's just a shame how that whole thing went. Let me put that back in the chat. Copy. Sorry, it's taking me a minute. Copy photo. So I had it in there earlier, but I took it out because I was like, he's not going to.
Jamar Chase in general, bro, he only has 35 catches.
It's
35 catches for 754 yards, averaging 21 yards a catch.
All right, pictures.
That's 2 first
in the
downs.
Notes. Pictures in the notes.
Oh yeah, you had this in here earlier.
Yeah, I took it out though. Yeah. It just didn't fit. The fit didn't feel right, but it came from this to my own home.
Gotcha.
Dude posed the question of how many How many first-round wide receivers in NFL history have ever had a QB drafted in the top 5 the year before? And because I like playing with data and my role at work, I'm a data analyst or soon-to-be data analyst. I put together the series of draft orders and sorted it by QBs drafted within first 5 picks, and then of course the following year. And it's just it was a real quick thing to do, but it's kind of cool just to see what they have in common. And some of them is high pedigree or a super long run of NFL success, like the 85 Chicago Bears. Their 1983 drafted quarterback is in there. And he's, so that takes on a life of its own when you think about it. But I said all that to say this. If he doesn't win Offensive Rookie of the Year, it's still a hell of an amazing start for his career, because he is going to be a star, and he and his quarterback are going to be, we're going to hear that name a lot. Probably as much as we heard Tom Brady and Gronk's name.
Like 7 games in, and he damn near has 800 yards receiving.
Yeah, it's amazing, bro.
And we got an extra game this year, too.
Who's going to stop that? Like, if you look at the rest of the schedule, who's stopping that?
No. And, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, who's really known for their defensive prowess, isn't really not the same as it used to be.
You have to stop that pass. You're going to stop Joe Mixon from smacking you in the face, because he's a top 10 rusher right now. It might be top 5 or top 7, but Joe Mixon is top 10 rusher right now. So you got to pick your poison, and that seems to be the theme for a lot of these teams that are having a lot of success right now. You look at Tampa. You look at the Colts. You look at the Cowboys. You look at the Bengals. They can kill you either way you want to go. They can throw the ball or they can run it down your throat. So you get to choose your own death. So it's scary, but it's cool to see these balanced offenses in the midst of us being in a pass-happy league right now. So we'll see. Right. But yes, back to the story at hand. Chase is balling.
Yeah.
Chase, and I don't remember, did either one of us say anything but negative about essentially him, having hands of stones at the beginning of the season? I can't remember.
No, I
know the jokes were there. I know I made fun of it, but I know it's still an early overreaction, because you want him to get those drops out the way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You want him to get those drops out the way. Get that out of your system in preseason, because when the real lights come on, that's when the money is made. So shout out to Chase and the doubters.
At the beginning of the pod, we mentioned the USC opening and the LSU opening in college football, and a reporter, Dane, had the nerve to ask my guy, your guy, Mike Tomlin, about those college openings, and this is what he had to say.
Guys, I don't have time for that speculation. I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it. And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
Anyone else?
Bars.
Bro.
And then he got up and walked off.
And he got up and walked off, but he scared me. Not scared me, but that was like your dad just.
Yeah, he was shaking. He was
don't
shaking,
ever. Don't ever do that. Don't ever ask me that in your life. Y'all got to see the video if you haven't already. Just check it out. It's been on Twitter for the past few days.
And here's the context: the people are just not getting through their thick skulls. Whether you like the Pittsburgh Steelers or not, this man is probably one of the greatest coaches of all time. You check his record, which hasn't had a losing season in it yet.
Yeah.
Produce. Yep. You can say what you want about the status of Big Ben today or tomorrow, but you can't say anything about him keeping his locker room together for years. Yeah. Making the deep playoff runs that he's made, helping and molding and keeping that defense as a staple of their franchise for years. To go on record and to ask this black dude, hey, man, we understand that you're one of the greatest coaches in the NFL right now, the most winningest head coaches in the NFL right now, but, wouldn't it make sense for you to, take a pay cut as well as, take a step down lower and go coach some college kids.
I think like the reporters they just get bored sometimes and just ask stuff. Like I don't even know if they meant. I don't know if they meant it as a racial thing, and I don't even think Mike Thomas' response was like that, or if he took it like that. I just think he was pissed just because. Do y'all see like you said? What y'all see what I've done here, and like I just take it as a sign of disrespect.
No. I'm not saying there was the intent behind it was racial or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that there's a long running history of overqualified black dudes being offered these jobs that they're essentially entry level. That's what we're looking at. Like it happens often. I'm not saying that was the intent of the reporter, but
the
it's like, hey,
$35,000 a year entry level jobs. But you got to have 8 years experience. 5 years.
Exactly. So it's like, I don't know. And then people wanted to make I wanted to look at the comments, see what these idiots had to say online, because I know there was a bunch of them, but it's like, well, Saban didn't say anything when he was asked to go coach in college. I was like, yeah, Saban, you look at Saban's coaching career, it pales in compare. Like you can't put that on a piece of paper and compare it next to Mike Tomlin's. He was getting his ass kicked. He's a control freak. He couldn't handle the pressure of these grown ass millionaires staring him dead in the face and him laughing in his face saying, hell no, I ain't bending to your demands type of deal. So of course you can try to bring out Saban, but Saban as a college coach, as impressive as it is, it doesn't sniff the dirty draws of Mike Tomlin in his professional career in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you talked about Mike Tomlin, like the success he has had in his, Pittsburgh career, but even in general, the Pittsburgh history of coaches goes back to Chuck Noll. They've had 3 coaches since 1969, so that tells you how
impressive.
With Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin, it's like they've always been one of the most consistent franchises in not even just the NFL, just pro sports in general. And I think like Mike Tomlin is Pittsburgh, just like Bill Cowher was before then.
He is the standard. Like
right.
that, if you want to look at, again, having a group of men respect you not only as a coach but as a man, you're going to find a picture of a few coaches, and he's going to be one of them. But I don't know that. It's just funny. It's just funny to me. But hearing him stand up like that.
I was gonna say, you remember that picture of me just like Mike Tomlin when we went to Disney World?
I used to always call this dude Mike Tomlin or Omar Epps, man. Always. You guys just right here in the eyes, you guys just look alike.
Might be kinfolk somewhere down the line. That's kinfolk.
Yeah.
Everybody related.
That's my cousin on my uncle's side.
My brother, sister, brother-in-law, cousin.
Yeah, I'm like, man. Sister's
baby
mama's uncle. Already, bro. Hit me.
Let's do it.
What's that sound?
Nerdy news segment brought to you by our guy Keith.
Shout out to Keith.
Eternals, Marvel Studios' latest movie, is coming out November 5th, next week, Dane. And those early critiquers and whatnot have already seen the movie at the world premiere, and there's been a lot of divisive kind of comments. People are saying that this movie, you either hate it or love it. I'm just excited to see something different. I think we talked about this, a bunch of times on the podcast as far as the cast and who is in it. And from what we've seen from the trailers and what it could bring to the MCU as widening the broader scope. We've, to this point in the MCU, everything has been not grounded as in because you're still dealing with superheroes and superpowers. I just meant on a level where everything that
there was a level of realism.
So that, and I'm thinking just more in the scope of everything it was in a box. But it seems like with what's coming up next week with Eternals is because from my research and what the Eternals were in the comics were like these godlike beings. And so this is going to be like way bigger than what we saw. Not as
the power
I'm trying
level
to word this the right way. Yeah, Endgame was a huge movie because what was built over the 10 years, you know, with MCU. And, you know, phase 4 has already started with Black Widow, which we both agree Black Widow should have been a movie
a long time
ago. We had the Marvel shows that came out already. But I believe this Eternals movie is, in my mind, I think it's the first. I'm going to view it as the first movie of phase 4 because we've just dealt with Endgame, right? And these Eternals are godlike beings, right? Bigger than the heroes and villains that we've seen so far. So I think it's going to make, right. And this is my prediction. It's going to make everything that we've seen so far seem so small. And I mean small, not as in unimportant, but like in a finite. In like its own little finite. Like I think this movie is just going to expand our minds. I'm not trying to hype it up in the fact that I think it's going to be the greatest movie ever. I think it's just going to take the MCU, like for the people that are watching, like a ball.
Okay.
Like a baseball is what we've seen in the MCU so far. I think Eternals are going to turn the baseball to a basketball. That's weird to say. But I think it's just going to be a bigger scope of what we've seen so far. Just everything we've seen so far with the 10 years, I think it's just going to expand. I think they've used that quote before, expanding the universe. The universe. I think Eternals is like the unofficial first movie of what's next after Endgame, because they talk about Endgame in this trailer. They also talk about that. I don't know if you've seen that clip where they mentioned Superman.
Yeah.
They name drop like a DC character in MCU. That's kind of crazy. And I'll let you talk on what you thought.
Yeah.
Or what you think about what to expect.
Yeah. Well, I for one am very excited. My younger brother, JB3, he's coming into town next weekend, so he actually wants to go see it. So we're gonna go see. I haven't been to the movies since the pandemic came out. I'm fully vaxxed, so I'm I'm still hesitant to go, but I'm still going to go, obviously. But my level of excitement for completely different reasons, but get to have the experience with my little brother, and we get to nerd out on that. So I'm looking forward to that. But it's never ceases to amaze me how these butthurt critics hop on their high horse, get online, and get gangster on their keyboard and say why they hated a movie and they have the authority to rank it this low and such and so. Like, how small and fragile does your ego have to go to get so excited to downright negatively talk about a movie so much? Like, they have nothing. I mean, obviously they get paid to do this. This is their job, but seriously? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't follow those ratings like that. Like, I don't take them for gospel or anything, but I do see from the comic book sources that I follow, I always see them talk about it, and that's how I hear about it. But I just think it's funny that people get so butthurt about the content and the context of some of these movies that they take it to the interwebs to, insecurely post about their feelings about it or what type of agenda it has. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to see my boy Paperboy. I'm ready to see the House of Stark make their huge.
Ain't that crazy?
Both of them fools, bro. One of the characters has the same first name as me. Like, I'm excited, bro. I'm looking forward to it. But I don't know what to expect in terms of how this is going to be displayed, the correlations that they'll have between the power levels and stuff like that. But we can already get a glimpse from the trailers, like what threat is going to be big enough to stop all of them fools together. Based on the short clips that we've seen so far of their powers and what they're capable of, what the hell is going to be so big and so in the way that they have to band together and they all get beat up and then they come back 30, 40 minutes later and they're all, motivated possibly by the death of somebody in their team. So I have no idea. I know very little about the Eternals based on the source material.
Same.
And that's okay. I'm going into it.
I think that's great. Like to go in that way, to like not really know much about it. That adds to the excitement for it and anticipation for
going
the
there,
movie.
not knowing what you're doing,
right?
Just having fun,
right? And I
consensual,
think,
of course.
Yeah, man. I think Eternals is going to be, just widening the scope of what we see. I think we talked about it a while ago. I think I heard it was Feige or somebody had said like, now in these next few phases, it's like going to be a separation of like power levels, like we see with our Spider-Mans and our new Captain America, the grounded kind of heroes, and then you'll see the galactic people up there, like the Captain Marvels, the Eternals. Like you'll see a separation of like threat levels and villains, and might be like not separate MCUs, but just in general levels which they are shown and compared to. And then that's dropping next week on November 5th. And then Dane, there's been a bunch of news about different productions that are on the horizon. She-Hulk is coming out next month or next year, and a spinoff of She-Hulk is supposed to be a Hulk solo movie featuring World Breaker Hulk. And yes, first of all, two, why did that take so long? Mark Ruffalo, in general, is, one of the staples. I mean, he wasn't the original Hulk, but since Avengers, Oh, was he?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was supposed to be.
Hearing World Breaker Hulk, Dane, what is that? What kind of excitement level does that bring to you, bro?
Power. I don't know how they're gonna do this with
considering where we left Hulk.
Exactly.
In Endgame.
The irreversible damage that he sustained somehow. I don't know how that's gonna come into play here. But I'm excited for the storyline.
Yeah. Could see Wolverine pop up.
Yes, we could. And we could also see, we've seen Hulk before, but this version of Hulk is probably one of the more powerful versions of him, with the ability to, of course, break up and beat up entire planets. Like, I have no idea how to conceptualize what you could possibly see. But I'm ready. My body is ready.
My body is ready.
The enemies that might come from this, endless. So I don't know. My mind is going so I have no idea how this is going to work. What type of universe they're going to I don't know. But I'm
now with like all the variant stuff that we have with the Loki show. Like telling could pull another Hulk from another timeline. That seems logical considering, like we talked about where we left Hulk before. Bro, that's gonna be insane whenever they decide to actually put that together. A couple other productions that like literally got announced today through different websites or whatever for 2023. A couple of shows. I'm gonna list them off to you, bro, and see. I'm gonna ask you which one you're most excited for when you hear these.
Okay.
Of course, long-awaited Fantastic Four. We knew it was coming. Feige mini announced it during a little Disney or Marvel hype show that they do. Fantastic Four production in 2023. Nova production 2023. Thunderbolts production 2023. Okoye is getting looks like a spinoff show. They're already doing a Wakanda show as well. Out of those, man, I think I'm gonna know what your answer is. But what are you most excited for out of those?
More than likely to be a toss-up between Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four. Only because we get to see our ragtag team of convicts and
Marvel Suicide
anti-heroes. Yeah, essentially. but just cooler, much cooler. The lesser known guys, but it's still to be much cooler than what we see in Suicide Squad. Just kidding. Suicide Squad, the second one / first one.
I think it's
whatever the most recent
one.
The
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that one was pretty dope. That was pretty dope. But that's not going to be Marvel. It's not going to be enough just for it to have a Marvel logo on it to get me to watch it. I need to see some intent behind it, and I'm assuming they're going to have the right minds behind it. Hopefully, they stick to the source material. But we have, especially with our boy Zemo, we have the possibilities are endless because he's back on the run, right? Zemo.
No.
They turned him over to
Wakanda.
Wait, he's not going to the raft. Couldn't turn him over to Wakanda to face.
Wakanda took him at the end of
in my brain I was thinking
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I can't remember what they said they were taking him. Was it to the raft? I don't know. I can't remember.
I think it was to the raft.
Okay, I can't remember.
We'll have to rewatch that.
Yeah, I have to rewatch it. Looking forward to that, and then obviously the
gonna
Marvel's
have a
first
U.S.
family.
agent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the cast. Yeah. And that was they were setting that up. Black Widow's sister, I forgot her name.
Yelena,
yeah. She's going to be in there, obviously. But I don't... So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. But I'm more excited about the first family just because the idea of the first family getting back on screen for the third time. You know what they say? The third time is the charm.
Finally under the Marvel umbrella, Marvel Studios umbrella.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know how the casting is going to work. I don't know what origin story they're going to go with. But, I mean, it's inevitable because he who remains. So, with him being a distant relative of Mr. Fantastic, it has to happen. So, I'm curious how it's going to work.
With the Fantastic Four coming, and you got, Doom is gotta be in there.
Yeah, you got mutants that
gotta be
come
in there
through.
at some point.
Some more celestial fights. Like it's going to be.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. Fantastic Four for sure is going to be whoever. Like I think a lot of people are waiting for that cast to see who's going to get casted as those characters because we've seen a lot of variations of those. Of course, we, the most rumored one and the ones the fans want the most is
dude from
Jim.
Office.
What's his name? What's Jim's real name?
Yeah, it's gonna be Jim for now. Jim.
I'm gonna feel stupid because I watch The Office all the time.
Jim Krasinski or something like that.
John Krasinski. Thank you, John.
I can call him Jim because that's the name of the office. John.
I think he'd be a dope Mr.
He's been
Fantastic.
Getting a lot of stuff, man.
There are a lot of rumors him and Feige were talking about Marvel Studios related stuff, but who knows what could go there. Nova would be dope for sure. The Nova Corps got mentioned, a couple of times in Guardians of the Galaxy as well as Endgame. Because Thanos whooped their ass. But
kill
something to look forward to. Of course, we got Spider-Man No Way Home on the horizon in December 17th. Less than 2 months away from that. Trailer. Still no second trailer, but got some. You saw the pictures from Empire Magazine?
Those real pictures?
Those are real.
I know. I said I was saying those real pictures.
Yeah, the one of Spidey running away from Doc Ock. The other one with the Doc Ock tentacles wrapped around Spidey. Did you see that one too?
Yeah, it was getting a hug, if you will. Yeah, very impressed. Cool stuff.
Yeah, waiting for that second trailer though. Waiting for that second trailer. Hopefully it'll drop in the next few weeks. Of course, I think they're probably going to wait till after Eternals because I feel like they don't want to take all the hype away from Eternals. Everybody's talking about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I still need to finish watching Venom. Still ain't watched them, man. Ain't watch
the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Just wait till VOD.
When does that happen?
Right, like a month or two.
Shit. I'm really want to watch it because I heard the post-credit scene was supposed to be all that in the back.
Bro, just Google it. Just YouTube it.
No!
I did already.
Good for you, man.
Let me tell you what happened.
No.
So what happened?
I'll never talk to you again.
With that, we're going to get out of here, man. Episode 65 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. Deonte F. Dane Beasley, Blue Wire Hustle. Y'all be easy.